Don't blame me if you get addicted to this eggless tiramisu recipe. Tiramisu is a popular Italian dessert composed of delicate coffee-soaked ladyfingers, then layered with a velvety mascarpone cream and dusted with cocoa powder for a finishing touch. We will start by making the eggless homemade ladyfingers. For that, we would need room temperature softened butter. Softened butter is nothing but a butter that is soft enough to be sliced through your fingers. Also, cubing your butter down makes it easier to incorporate with the sugar without the need to beat it for long enough. So transfer the softened butter into a mixing bowl, beat it just a bit, and then add the caster sugar. Beat for about 3 to 5 minutes until the mixture looks creamy and mixed through. Do not mix for too long. Now this is where I had made a mistake when I first tried this recipe. The resultant was that my cookie spread way too much, thereby losing its shape, structure and texture. This and few other reasons why my cookie spread have been explained on my blog spicesandflavors.com. You can consider reading that if you're interested in learning the science behind baking. So continuing with this video, beat the butter and sugar until creamy for about 3 to 5 minutes. Add vanilla and mix that through. Sieve together the flour, baking powder and salt on top of the bowl. Make sure to add only half of it. Mix it and then add half of the weighed out milk. Mix that as well and finally incorporate the rest of the dry ingredients followed by the remaining half of the milk and combine to form a batter. Again, this process of alternating between the dry ingredients and sugar is done so as to avoid the overmixing of batter. This and few other tips have been explained in my ebook, which you can download for free from my site spicesandflavors.com. Again, find the link for the same in the description box below. So towards the end, I like to switch over to my spatula and do the folding manually. Again, all these steps are precautionary steps just to ensure that we are not incorporating air into the batter accidentally, because otherwise the cookies would spread and lose its structure, as I had shared a few clips behind. So the batter here won't be as solid as a cookie dough and also won't be flowy like a cake batter. It would be in a pipeable consistency. Transfer the batter to a piping bag and cut off the tip about 2 centimeters away from the tip. So for even piping, you can consider making a template of straight lines of about 3.5 inches, leaving a gap of 1.5 inches between each line. So take a parchment paper and simply draw straight lines of 3.5 inches, then place it on your baking tray. Top it with another parchment paper. Then start piping on top of the template. That way all your ladyfingers will be of even height, though it doesn't make any difference as it is going to be layered later on while assembling the tiramisu. But if you like presenting your food neatly, then you can try this method or skip it, totally up to you. worry if your dough goes out of shape while piping. Wet your fingers and using wet fingers try to give them a proper shape. Then dust generously with icing sugar. Bake in a preheated oven of 180 degrees Celsius for 8 to 12 minutes or until slightly crisp on the sides and soft in the center, but the color of it should be pale itself. You do not want that typical golden brown color. And while the first batch of cookies is baking, you can consider piping the second set of cookies and keep that ready. This recipe makes 30 cookies and we would be using around 25 for the recipe. Once out of the oven, let it cool in the pan itself for 5 minutes, then transfer to a wire rack to cool completely. This is how it looks upon cooling. I forgot to dust icing sugar on top of my second batch, which is good in a way. So now I can show you the difference between the two. So one has this crumbled old skin like texture, so that is how you want it to be. But both were baked well with soft interiors and crisp exterior. Yes, do not overbake them. You want them to be soft so that they can soak the coffee syrup. To make the coffee syrup, in a mixing bowl, add the sugar and coffee powder. Pour hot boiling water on top and stir together to dissolve the sugar and coffee in it. Cool completely before using. If you have an espresso machine, please feel free to use it at this stage instead of using instant coffee. And also this is the stage where you can incorporate about 50 ml or a little more of coffee liquor if you wish to have that kick in your tiramisu. To make the whipped mascarpone cream, whip together heavy whipping cream and icing sugar in a mixing bowl until almost stiff peaks form. So you do not want to go up to the stiff peak stage. And also if you could lay your hands on dairy whipping cream, it would be amazing for this recipe. But if not, you can always use non-dairy cream here. And if your non-dairy cream is sweetened, then just skip the sugar. So set this aside and in a separate mixing bowl add the mascarpone cheese. Now it so happened that I by mistakenly whipped the already smooth mascarpone cheese and it started curdling, which ruined the texture of the cream. Luckily I had some more in hand, so I just mixed the two of it, and that is the reason you could see that the cream is curdled here and not as silky velvety smooth. So this is the brand that I'm using. Of course, not a sponsored post, just showing it. So if you are also using the same one, then there is no need to beat the mascarpone if it is already soft. So you can directly incorporate it with the whipped cream. When I was shooting this video, I did not have additional cream, so my cream looks a little curdled, but yours will be much smoother, so don't worry. I can say this with much confidence because I actually made the recipe again the next day for my husband's office, and I'm attaching the clips from that day for your reference on the side. So just see how smooth and creamy the cream looks. So not beating the mascarpone with the beater is the key take here. Simply mix it with a spatula and add the whipped cream to it a little at a time and fold through until combined, doing the cut and fold method. You do not want to overmix it. Again, overmixing would also curdle the batter. Now that all the elements are ready, let's assemble our eggless tiramisu. Take a dish or a cake pan. The one that I'm using is 7 by 7 inches. Dip the ladyfinger in the coffee syrup for about 1 to 2 seconds and remove immediately, or else it would get softened way too much and will break down. So rest assured, my hands are totally clean here. Cover the base of the dish or ramekin or cake pan or whatever you are using with the ladyfingers soaked in coffee. Layer half of the prepared whipped mascarpone cream on top and then again repeat the steps until you reach the very top. Cover with a cling wrap, and now this is the hardest part of the recipe, which is to refrigerate it overnight or for a minimum of 4 hours. Generously dust with cocoa powder right before serving. In my roast milk cake video, you guys had some doubts about slicing and serving the cakes when made in such dishes. So sharing the steps in this video. The best step here is to use hot knife for slicing. So dip your knife in hot water, wipe it with a tea towel or a paper towel preferably, and then simply slice. Before every slice, dip it in hot water and wipe. The first one is always the hardest to remove and it will definitely lose its shape. But after that, since you have a little gap, it becomes easier to remove the slices. Top it with some chocolate decorations, which is optional of course, but you can find the tutorial for this easy peasy chocolate decorations from our channel. The link is in the card above or in the description box as well. And I bet you won't be able to stop at one bite and will keep coming back for more. Also, do consider joining the waitlist for the Eggless Crinkly Top Brownies workshop to receive a discount coupon code. And before we leave, as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more such baking tutorials and baking recipes. I'll see you soon in my next one. Until then, this is Sushma signing off. Take care. Bye bye.